holding a tablet that was written thousands of years ago and being able to read what it says. It's an amazing feeling.
In 1849, British archaeologist Sir Austen Henry Layard uncovered a broken Sumerian clay tablet in Nineveh, in modern-day Iraq. Its strange cuneiform writing matched no known Sumerian record. The tablet supposedly remained hidden for 170 years. Then, in 2019, photographs led 3 independent linguists to complete a partial translation within 48 hours. What they found shocked the whole world. Instead of recording kings or battles, the tablet warned future humans about 12 ancient races, and it ranked them from the least dangerous to the most dangerous and claimed they all knew Earth existed. In this video, we'll uncover every alleged race in that order. Let's dive in. The Pleiadian observers. The Pleiadian observers received the lowest threat score on the tablet. According to the partial translation completed in 2019, the tablet described them with one unusual phrase: those who count the seasons of men. According to the partial translation, a race that only observes humanity without intervening is considered the safest of all, because everything they witnessed revealed why the script never feared them. They supposedly witnessed repeated floods and watched civilizations rise and fall without ever interfering. No city claimed them as founders, no kingdom remembered them as rulers, and no monument carried their name. Every visit ended without leaving a visible trace. And their greatest action was the decision to remain completely unseen. The tablet never described them as rulers, teachers, or conquerors. Instead, it portrayed them as patient observers who measured time through human generations instead of their own. Their role ended where everyone else's began. They simply watched history unfold, carried those memories with them, and left without changing humanity's path. But one detail quietly reshapes the meaning of every entry that follows. Their entry ends without a warning, a battle, or a lasting mark on human history. That quiet ending feels almost comforting at first, yet it also establishes an important pattern. Every race on the tablet shares a different relationship with humanity, and each new entry slowly moves one step closer to direct involvement. If silent observers left with nothing except knowledge, the next visitors carried away something much more valuable than memories: the draconian record keepers. The next entry introduces a race that is linked to what we now call Draco. Unlike the silent observers before them, these visitors did not remain to watch humanity across countless generations. According to the partial translation, they came only once, stayed for a short time, carefully examined the world, and quietly departed. Their brief visit stood out because they appeared far more interested in gathering knowledge than controlling anything they found. And the real reason for their visit became clear through the details they left behind. The tablet claims they collected samples of plant life, animals, and the surrounding environment. It never describes battles, settlements, or attempts to influence humanity. Every action focused on observation rather than conquest. Once their work ended, they left without monuments, stories, or recognizable traces. Surprisingly, one translated sentence gives their entire entry a deeper meaning. The anonymous scribe recorded a phrase that closely resembles, "They know where we keep our records." The tablet never explains what those records contained or why they mattered. It quietly suggests that information held greater value than land, wealth, or power. Based on the translation, these visitors completed their mission without speaking to humanity or revealing who they really were. Moreover, their silent departure also reveals a new pattern hidden throughout the tablet. Every race arrives with a different purpose, and every entry moves one step closer to direct involvement with humanity. The draconian visitors gathered knowledge, completed their task, and disappeared without drawing attention. But the next name on the tablet carried an even darker message. Some visitors never cared whether humanity existed at all. The luminous travelers. Among all the races on the tablet, this one saw Earth in a completely different way. These luminous beings reportedly arrived only once. Early humans supposedly saw their radiant appearance and worshipped them as gods. The anonymous scribe records only a brief encounter before they quietly disappeared. And the tablets quietly revealed that Earth was never the real destination. These visitors never planned to remain on Earth. The same Sumerian word used for their departure also described travelers passing through on their way to a more important destination. Earth was simply a stop along a much longer journey. Humanity was not their final objective, and our world was never the center of their attention. So their departure revealed something far more unsettling than their arrival. If the translation reflects the original text, these beings inspired beliefs that lasted for generations without directly shaping human civilization. They continued their journey without leaving instructions, monuments, or permanent settlements. Their quiet departure suggested they had already found what they needed. Till now, everything seemed ordinary until the tablet revealed one final detail. The tablet never explains where these travelers came from or where they went after leaving Earth. It simply records their arrival and departure before moving on. That unanswered gap makes their short visit feel larger than it first appears. And the next entry marks the moment the tablet stops describing seemingly harmless visitors and begins issuing warnings. The population counters marks the point where the tablet's message begins to feel far less comforting. Earlier races watched, studied, or briefly passed through Earth. But this civilization followed a very different pattern. The translated text describes visitors who returned again and again, following a cycle of approximately 6,000 years. Every return served the same purpose, and every visit focused on humanity itself. The tablet says they counted humanity, growing cities, and the expansion of civilization. They never appeared as kings or teachers. They simply recorded humanity's progress before leaving, returning every cycle to measure it again. And the tablet delivers its first clear warning through one short sentence. The harvest comes when the field is full. The tablet never defines the harvest or explains what the field truly represents: civilizations, knowledge, or something else entirely. Its meaning remains uncertain, yet its placement gives the phrase unusual weight. That single line changes the meaning of the entire list. But this one presents a civilization that quietly tracked humanity. Their purpose remains unfinished, yet the growing numbers seem to point toward a destination that has never been revealed. The quiet counting ended there, yet the next entry carried a claim that reached back to humanity's very first harvests. The ancient seed bringers. The tablet describes a race connected with agriculture instead of conquest. Rather than arriving to rule kingdoms or gather knowledge, these visitors supposedly changed how people survived. Their entry moves beyond counting civilizations and turns toward the beginning of civilization itself. Their story centers on food, farming, and the first harvests that allowed small communities to grow into permanent settlements. The translated text claims they introduced wheat, barley, and other domesticated grain around 10,000 years before the tablet was written. Farming replaced constant wandering, villages grew, and civilization began to flourish. This entry focuses on cultivation rather than conquest. The tablet connects these visitors with humanity's earliest harvests without explaining how that knowledge reached Earth. Archaeologists continue to examine the origins of domesticated wheat, yet the tablet offers no evidence beyond its own words, leaving its extraordinary claim impossible to confirm. The final lines quietly deepen the mystery. but also to humanity itself, suggesting that growth carried two meanings within the same passage. The text never settles that mystery, but the next name on the tablet belonged to watchers who never needed to stand on Earth to know exactly what humanity had become. The listeners beyond the sky. Their entry portrays distant watchers who monitored humanity from far beyond the planet. Their presence remained invisible, yet the text suggests they recognized every major step humanity took toward advanced technology without ever coming closer. Still, their silence hid a method that felt far more disturbing than direct contact. The translated passage explains that these watchers listened across immense distances for signals that intelligent life had reached a new stage. The scribe describes the sound of fire from combustion, the growing noise of expanding cities, and the echo of weapons that tear the air without being thrown. Although the ancient writer lacked modern technical language, the description closely resembles advanced projectiles or similar weapons rather than simple tools. Yet every sound from Earth carried a message they could not ignore. The entry never mentions ships, meetings, or direct contact. Instead, it presents a civilization that gathers information without crossing the distance separating it from Earth. Every new invention, growing city, and stronger weapon marked humanity's progress. They listened instead of watching, making their presence feel distant, yet impossible to ignore. But the final lines about them in tablets leave their intentions completely unresolved. The tablet simply states that they know humanity exists, they understand our technological progress, and they have not yet decided whether they will respond or intervene. Their silent watch continues without explanation, while the next entry turns toward visitors whose influence supposedly reached far beyond simple observation. The Stone Builders. The tablet links these visitors to Orion's belt and claims they taught early civilizations how to work with stone. Their influence supposedly remained long after they disappeared. Yet their greatest legacy lay in the knowledge they shared. The tablet states that they taught early humans how to cut stone, transport massive blocks, and assemble enormous megalithic structures with remarkable precision. It never claims they built those monuments themselves. Instead, it presents them as teachers who passed their knowledge to people before quietly leaving. Yet the mystery grows deeper once the tablet identifies 3 locations. The text specifically names Giza in modern-day Egypt, where the massive pyramids dominate the desert skyline. Secondly, it points to Sacsayhuaman in Peru, known for its enormous interlocking stone walls carved with remarkable precision. Finally, it identifies Baalbek in Lebanon, where some of the largest stone blocks ever used in ancient construction still remain. These sites often appear in ancient astronaut theories, but mainstream archaeology attributes them to ancient human civilizations. Yet one final detail changes the entire picture. The tablet claims these structures were designed to remain visible from above, giving their placement a purpose beyond ordinary construction. It never explains who was meant to see them or why that perspective mattered. Building the monuments may have been only the beginning, because the next entry points towards something left behind inside them: the hidden artifacts. Instead of describing buildings or teachings, the text turns to artifacts that supposedly remained hidden long after their creators disappeared. Their existence matters because the scribe describes them as unlike anything recorded in the earlier entries. The tablet describes artifacts that move without any visible force. The passage continues by describing objects that appear in one place, before suddenly appearing somewhere else. The scribe never explains how they move or what causes those unusual changes. Every description raises more questions than answers and leaves each object surrounded by uncertainty. More surprising still, The final lines become even harder to interpret. The passage says these artifacts remain dormant until needed. It never explains what activates them, leaving translators uncertain whether they describe machines, symbols, or something entirely different. Nothing in the entry reveals their purpose, their location, or whether they still exist. The mystery ends exactly where it begins, with objects that refuse to fit any clear description and a warning that never fully explains itself. Yet the next entry suggests the greatest legacy was never hidden inside an object, but may have become part of humanity itself. The Forgotten Survivors. Now, the tablet tells the story of a civilization that supposedly lost its own world, forcing the remaining survivors to search for another place to live. Rather than rebuilding elsewhere, they supposedly chose a path that changed humanity itself. The tablet claims the survivors became part of humanity, linking them to both human genetics. Researchers interpret the statement as a symbolic warning about repeating the same mistakes that destroyed another civilization. Others read it as a literal claim that humanity still carries the legacy of those forgotten survivors. The passage never confirms either interpretation, leaving both possibilities unresolved. The entry closes with a warning that feels less concerned with the distant past than the future waiting ahead. The next name on the tablet erased the line between visitor and survivor. The Ocean Dwellers. The tablet presents this race as permanent inhabitants living beneath the oceans instead of distant visitors crossing the sky. The passage describes a presence that quietly continued while human civilizations rose and disappeared above. The tablet claims they operate from permanent underwater installations hidden deep beneath the oceans. They continuously monitored the planet for thousands of years while remaining hidden below the surface. The next lines shift the focus from where they lived to what they collected. The tablet states that they extract unknown resources from the oceans, including minerals, energy, and biological material. It never explains why they collect those materials or what they ultimately intend to do with them. Humanity has explored only a small portion of the deep ocean, leaving the locations described by the scribe impossible to compare with anything known today. The passage offers no further explanation and ends without revealing what remains afterward. Now, only 2 entries remained, and both suggested the greatest threat was never as far away as humanity believed. The Waiting Ones. The previous entries pointed toward distant civilizations, hidden oceans, and forgotten worlds. This time, the tablet breaks that pattern completely. The second-ranked race carries no reference to any constellation or distant star. That unusual phrase has drawn close attention because it appears to place their origin somewhere within our own solar system rather than far beyond it. The tablet never describes their arrival. It never identifies that place or explains how they stayed hidden for so long. The tablet never explains how that will happen or whether their arrival will bring peace or conflict. That uncertainty earned them the second highest ranking. Every line ends without resolution, allowing uncertainty itself to become the warning. The greatest threat was never waiting to arrive, because it had always been here. The ones already here. The script marked it differently from every other name on the tablet. Instead of describing visitors from elsewhere, the translated passage introduces a presence that was already here before anyone thought to search the skies. The tablet never identifies its purpose, leaving every possibility unanswered. It never explains whether they influenced those events or simply watched them unfold, making the silence surrounding them even more unsettling. Beneath the 12 entries, the tablet reportedly contains a handwritten note describing a mysterious 13th entry. The tablet never confirms either conclusion, allowing the warning to remain unresolved. Nearly every discussion surrounding the alleged tablet eventually returns to that final possibility, leaving its greatest mystery permanently unanswered. In the end, whether this Sumerian tablet tells a forgotten truth or only a powerful story, it reminds us how much of the ancient world still remains unexplained. Which race disturbed you the most? And do you think humans could actually be the mysterious 13th race mentioned beneath the list? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you want more incredible mysteries, discoveries, and true stories like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.